Hello Wolfpack, we're talking about Cosmos, Atom today, USD pair. We're going to be comparing Atom to a lot of the new kind of coins in the market like Terra, Solana and Avalanche, and they're all making a very similar move. So if we get straight into it, we're not going to be focusing too much on the fundamentals today. This is purely a price analysis, some TA, because I have some interesting things to bring to the table as to why Atom may be the same and different, and there's a few counteractive points here. And ultimately, we could be determining whether we're going to be entering a trade on Atom in the coming days. So if we bring up Atom, and we'll look at CoinMarketCap quickly because we can get a quick overview of what's actually happened. Then we'll jump into the in-depth TA on TradingView. But Atom, right here, this is the Cosmos chart. We're doing a obviously very rounded bottom formation, which we're coming up and making a higher high. You can see here on Terra, very, very similar thing. Solana, very, very similar thing. If you actually zoom up, you'll be able to see it more. Actually, we will do that right now. It's just that Solana's moved up so quickly that we're kind of seeing that rounding out being distorted. But you can see it's a very, very similar thing, especially if you zoom back down here. And this is where you'd see, it looks similar to Atom. And I've got a lot of people in my Telegram group and, on Twitter, private messaging me and saying, hey, look here on Atom. So this is the Atom chart. Looks very similar to Solana in August, the late August, and what Solana did from there was another 2x from there. So we could be seeing a similar run up, but that's up for interpretation. That's where I'm going to be going in this video. Avalanche is another one that's done similar things. I did a video on Avalanche I think yesterday or the day before, and there's a pretty clear cup and handle formation on Avalanche here as well. But essentially, if we take away all of this, this is a similar situation on Solana that we want to be getting into. Will Solana do the same thing as will Atom do the same thing as Solana and Terra and Avalanche? That is the big question. That's a question on a lot of people's minds. In my personal opinion, it's a bit too late to get into Atom and things like that, even if it might do something like that, because it's already up exponentially from its bottom. We picked up, we actually bought Atom on our Telegram group here at around, I think it was $7 to $8, possibly $9. We'll measure it from $9.50 just in case. We'll just be some lenience there, but yeah, we're up around 300%, probably a bit more if we actually bought in low. I can't even remember the exact price, but we bought it in that last green support box. That's where we identified from this area. If we bring up the brush, this area in January, we identified that we'll probably be bottoming out there on Atom, and we did that. We entered a double bottom and we saw that rounding out formation that we're seeing right now and that move up. Now, if we look into what we might be seeing here on Atom, I have drawn a cup and handle formation. It is slanted. It looks a bit rough, but nevertheless, it is a cup and handle formation similar to the one we saw on Avalanche in our last video. And if we actually measure the move here on Atom, I have some concerning things to bring up. So measuring a cup and handle formation, what you want to do is you want to measure from the bottom of the cup and handle. Sorry, let me just move this screen a little bit here so I can get a good measurement. Just roughly the bottom of the cup and handle formation to the breakout point, which is around 15 to 16 USD. And then we'll measure 15 to 16 USD from the breakout point, and we'll get a resolution here. So you can see that we actually have already completed this cup and handle formation pattern. It was meant to be topping out here at around 37. We reached 38 and we formed our new all-time high, from which we've been correcting quite heavily from. We're already back down to 34. So we've seen a correction of about 10% or 11% from that region. This is the thing, guys. This is the thing I want to be, really instilling into your minds here with these coins. This is not the time to buy Atom. All right, it's not the time to buy Atom. I think personally that Atom is going to go up further. Yes, but I also think there's way better opportunities out there in the market with a much lower, risk and higher reward than Atom, seeing as it's already jumped past its all-time high. It's already well past its all-time high. You can see here, if we just measure it from its last all-time high, it's already 22% above its all-time high. The time to buy was down here in these green boxes in this, accumulation area. It's not the time to buy right now, even if I think it's going to go up further. And I think it is going to go up further, but we have just seen, and I've just measured that out for you, that the move from the cup and handle formation has completed. So we're going to be seeing a correction from this zone, at least, in my opinion, at the very least, down to its previous all-time high. And this could be a very bullish thing, guys, because at the end of the day, what it could do here is come down to the previous all-time high at $32, flip that area for support. And if Bitcoin sees a recovery by the time it does that, which should be in the next week, probably within the next few days, we could be seeing a swing back up to new all-time highs. And that's very, very likely, right? That's very likely, but it doesn't take away from the fact that there are better opportunities there right now that are much lower. You don't want to be buying into the coins that have already ran because they have, the least potential to run even more. So, for example, we're going to be getting into our price prediction for Atom, but we'll leave that for later in the video. We can see on the hourly chart, we actually do have, this is counteracting what I just said. Of course, I think that Atom is, a good trader if you want to, swing, not necessarily swing trade it, but scalp trade it, intraday trading, possibly a couple of days, but it's not the coin to be buying and holding for the rest of the bull market. You want to be buying something much lower than Atom. But that being said, on the hourly chart, we do have a broadening, descending channel here, which is typically a bullish formation, in which if we do see a bottoming out, we actually are catching some resistance from the 26 SMA at this point, but that might not hold. And if it does, then we'll have that bottom here at around 34 USD, and from which if we measure a move here, we can see that Atom will probably reach somewhere around the 40 to 44, probably 44 within that region from this move. There's very rough estimates, of course, but if we measured it out properly, we'd see that it actually be swinging up and making new all-time highs just from this broadening wedge. That's very possible, but as I said, that's counteracting what's happened from the cup and handle formation, in which we might be seeing a drop down. Now, let's stop predicting on these short-term price movements here. What we can say, if we bring up some indicators, we can make some longer term predictions here. What we can say, and what is supporting the theory that Atom will be correcting here, at least down to its previous all-time high, is the fact that we have this bearish divergence on the RSI in form of kind of like a descending channel almost, but it's a very clear bearish divergence on the RSI, which typically leads to a fall in price. It typically means that the asset is overvalued. What we can see as well is actually, if we bring up the Bitcoin chart quickly, we can see that we had a descending, this is just an example, bearish divergence on the RSI here on the Bitcoin chart from July all the way until last week. And that's why we've seen this drop, because we had that bearish divergence playing out. And, they do, 9 times out of 10 end in price depreciation. It's just a matter of when, because you saw in that Bitcoin chart there on the daily chart, it took a couple of months for it to play out and a couple of months for us to be seeing a correction. So whether we actually correct or not is up for interpretation, but what we can see is in this channel here on the RSI, we have recently reached the top of the channel. So the next logical move is to make a move down to the bottom of the channel and test that. So that could be the drop down to previous all-time highs, or even lower down to the 28 USD region. It really depends on what happens, but the point is we will be correcting from this region further. I'm 100% sure of that. If we look at the weekly chart on Atom, we can start making a long-term price prediction. Now, if you guys want to recap, basically my position on Atom is that I think in the short term and in the next couple of weeks, we'll be going down on Atom to retest previous all-time highs or possibly lower. But I think that in the long term and the rest of the bull market, Atom will be going up further. I just don't think the risk reward, would kind of entice me to take this trade right now. I think there's better coins to buy. For example, EOS, Bitcoin Cash, coins that, are completely slept on massively. They're still on the ground, but when the time comes, when people stop buying into coins like Atom and they look for coins that are on the ground finally, which would be the next few months, those are the coins that's really going to take off, because those are the coins that are still on the ground and they're still developing. They're not dead coins by any means. They may be dead in terms of price, but they're not dead in terms of fundamentals. So people will look to coins like that that are still relatively high cap to start funneling their money into. So those are the coins I'm looking to buy right now. But regardless, for the people holding Atom, for the people who have already bought Atom at this point, congratulations, this is a good trade. I'd probably be staying in this trade. And the reason being is because if we look at some price predictions, we can't make a solid price prediction based off any previous bull market. But what we can do is take some fractals, and we can see we had a similar rounding out formation back here in August last year before a massive spike up. So this rounding out formation could be the equivalent to what we are seeing now. Now, if we start, actually, I'll bring all of those back. That's my bad. If we take this fractal and apply it. Obviously, it's going to be quite hard to apply because they are very different market movements. But what we can see here, and if we try and fit it in nicely, we're going to have to spread it out quite massively because the move is going to be bigger as well, of course, because the bull market is going to continue on a larger scale. What we want to be doing is making this quite even to the drop down we saw in May. So we'll see something like that, possibly a bit less. It's quite hard to do perfectly, guys, but essentially that's kind of a rough fractal. Of course, the fractal is not going to be perfect, but it is the point still stands. We've seen a similar formation to what we saw in this period at late last year. We saw, if we zoom up very closely, we can see that this looks exactly the same as what we are seeing now. This drop down from the May capitulation, bouncing around for a few months, and then a spike up. We're currently seeing that spike up. We've seen the drop down here. We've bounced around and now we're seeing that spike up. So if we bring the fractal out, what we can see is going to happen in the next few weeks. This fractal kind of suggests that it's going to be ending in January, which actually makes perfect sense. Altcoins usually run until January in previous bull markets. For example, in the last bull market, Bitcoin topped out in mid-December and altcoins ran into mid-January. So this is saying late January. It's not a perfect fractal, but this looks like it could be the case, and it makes sense logically as well. All right, so Atom will have some sort of correction here to kind of stay in line with this fractal. It will make a massive move up as Bitcoin tops out and as altcoin dominance rises. And then, as people realize Atom is too high to keep buying, the buying pressure will slow down. We'll enter this chop kind of formation as we kind of try and battle between the bulls and the bears. The bulls wanting to take it higher, obviously, and the bears kind of thinking, okay, this might be at the top for Atom. And then finally, the bull market capitulation will stop. Will happen and will drop all the way back down, into the $30 region, possibly lower on Atom in preparation for the bear market, in which we'll just be bouncing around, of course. So it makes sense perfectly to me, and I think that, there is still steam in Atom. There is still a way to go. But if you actually measure this move here from Atom, from the current prices, you can see that's a 250% gain. There's altcoins out there that still have, 50 to 100 X's to give. For example, Bitcoin Cash, I'm expecting at least a 20X from current prices. So me chasing a 2.4X on Atom isn't necessarily the most logical move at this point. If I bought down lower, if I bought at $10, if I bought at $9, like I did in my Telegram group, for sure, I'd be chasing Atom at this point, waiting for it to go up further, but right now is not the buying signal I'm looking for. But for those of you who are old Atom right now, do not fear. We may be seeing a short-term correction, but ultimately the trend is upwards. And this chop formation here, this chop region, makes perfect sense. It makes sense in the fact that this is an area in which people will be taking profits massively, funneling their money into lower cap coins. This is what we've seen on previous bull markets before, right? We've seen the early runners, which tends to be the new coins of the bull market, make massive exponential moves up like Atom is doing, like Avalanche, like Solana, etc. And then coming to a kind of chopping zone in which they stagnate, the buying pressure runs out, everyone who's going to buy in that coin has already bought. It holds while the rest of the market pumps, while the Dino coins pump. This area will be while all the Bitcoin Cashes, the EOSs pump, possibly the WAN chains pump, all of the older coins that people have mostly slept on during this bull market. And then when they drop, everything will drop down. This makes perfect sense. This fractal, although is not completely accurate in terms of time and potentially prices, makes sense to me. And this fractal would put us at about 120 USD. Whether it actually reaches that point, whether it goes higher, is up for interpretation. But the fact is, it will probably go higher in the coming months, and it will probably go down in the short term. That's been my analysis for Atom, guys. I hope you've enjoyed. Make sure to check out some of the other videos on my channel and join my Telegram group. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks.